Hi, I'm Randy Altman with Post Perspective. We're here with AJA's Bryce Button. Hello, Bryce.
Hi, Randy. It's great to be back with you again. An exciting, busy day with lots of new announcement stuff, right?
Absolutely. So I was watching your press conference from earlier today, and there's a lot of interesting things going on, including one that might be a little different for what people think of AJA in terms of software. So today you guys announced Discover Media Edition. Can you please explain to everybody what that is and also what your relationship is with the company that makes that?
AJA Discover Media Edition is basically media management software that we've producing in collaboration with the company Discover. And unusually for AJA, we've actually taken an equity stake in this partnership. And it's a major initiative because we're trying to actually deal with a really big problem within the industry that's going to continue to grow unless we start to tackle it. And what that has to do with is just the amount of media that's actually being produced. So, when we looked around the industry, we realized things are going to get out of control fairly fast unless we help provide a tool that's going to help everyone from studios to broadcasters to facilities figure out where their media is, where it's being stored, how much of it's being stored, and is this being done efficiently or not? So the most key point of data here that sort of got us really thinking is the fact that it's now predicted that between us all as creatives, we're going to produce so much media that the production that's going down at the moment, etc., means we'll have as much media in the next 3 years as we did in the last 3 decades. So if you think about that, that's almost a completely unmanageable mess at some point. So we communicated with a group called Discover, which is Paul, Enru, and Chris, the CTO. And they've been playing in this field for about that long as well, trying to figure out how do you manage what is basically a building pile of unstructured data. And one of the big problems in the industry is it might be simple to understand what's on your particular hard drive or on a SAN or what have you. But today's productions are happening worldwide with tons of groups. And you've got a mix of physical drives that can come off a set. And then you've got someone using a SAN, let's say a StorNext. And then you've got AWS buckets that are in the cloud. And you've got folks that are needing to provide data, media files into that system somewhere along the way, and others that need to consume it. And generally, the tools that have been out there allow you to kind of know what's on one particular device. But that's not going to help you when you've got a VFX team that's working in Germany, and you've got an editing team that's sitting in the UK, and you've got a virtual production team that's chucking files up into the cloud elsewhere in the US in a studio environment. If you're trying to actually manage this, it's almost completely chaotic, and you don't really know how much these things are costing you. So it's a way of taking all the indexes from these various storage mediums, putting them into a master index. And then for you as the executive, for instance, or you as the creative, allowing you to take a look across the entire picture, and the costs can be associated with it. Because storing stuff, for instance, on a USB drive, sticking it in the cupboard is one cost. If you're throwing terabytes, petabytes of stuff onto a cloud service, that's sitting somewhere else, but somebody's got to pay for that storage. And then it becomes a question of how long do you leave it in particular environments. Somebody on the system administrator front, or the IT kind of side of things, needs to go, okay, surely we want to move some of this off that particular storage medium to LTO or archive or what have you. And where is it? And I think one of the nice things the software also does is, for those real world realities, if you've taken a drive and you decided we can stick it in the cupboard, the index for what's on that drive still exists within the Diskover Media and Entertainment index, the master index. So you'll always know where it is. And obviously, you know, we've all gone through these raster changes over time. So let's say you've got a show from the 80s, Cheers, something like that, and you want to go back in and refilm scan it and make stuff available on a new service. Where is that material? Can you get back to it quickly and easily? And it allows every part of the chain to understand where stuff is and to communicate with each other so that you can make these processes, whether production, into post, into delivery, make it clear for everyone where items are and what it's really costing you in terms of where they currently sit.
Now, people could access this through a web browser, correct?
Correct. So effectively, when you do an initial setup, you're going to have a node that's on a particular system. And from there, it is gathering and scanning across the networks to all these other devices. Again, if it's said, if you just plug in a USB drive, you can index that and add it to the master index. And then you've got so much power from there. You can manage your clients, you know, whether you've got multiple clients in your facility, and a lot of the big post facilities, as you're aware, are dealing with multiple clients simultaneously. And it'll allow them to understand at which point, you know, are you taking stuff on and off storage to deal with that client flow? And you can give them a sense of, you know, what it's really costing.
Talking about costs, you guys are offering it per node annually, correct? Can you talk about how much that costs for the user?
Yeah, so sure. You know, this is going to be something that, you know, initially for sure, it's going to be sort of medium-sized, large-sized entities at about $11,995 per node. A normal, fairly average setup is likely going to involve 3 nodes. That helps with redundancy, which is always a good idea when you're dealing with big projects. Which might sound like a fair amount of money, but the reality is, in terms of anything competitive in the landscape, similar solutions have gone up to 7 figures. And we're placing this at a very accessible price point, 100% confident that your first couple of operations on projects, you're going to be earning that money back. It's built on an open core basis using software called Elasticsearch, and this stuff can scale infinitely. So as your projects grow, as your own facility grows, there's no danger of running into some kind of walled limitation. It can handle petabytes and petabytes and petabytes of information. It's very powerful stuff, but it's nice and simple to operate.
And this is available now, correct?
Correct. We are thrilled to say this is available as of today.
Fantastic. Okay, so just switching gears a little bit to the more to the hardware stuff. So you guys, you were talking about Bridge Live today and about how it's NDI enabled and HLS enabled, correct?
Correct. Yeah, it's a big one. You know, I think Bridge Live has been an incredible product for us. You know, throughout this pandemic and throughout people's workflows, we're seeing it utilized in all sorts of environments, from education to concert environments to broadcast environments, doing all sorts of things, backhauling signals, multiple camera signals for live events. And for those who've been watching the evolution of the IP space, you certainly would look to SMPTE 2110 for the best of uncompressed IP workflows, but it involves heavy infrastructure. And in the meantime, NDI has been going for a little while now, right? And we're looking at thousands of devices that now support NDI. And you've got hundreds of manufacturers making little devices. And the purpose behind NDI was always to try and utilize the most common infrastructure. So you could do a lot of stuff across a gigabit. So my laptop supports a gigabit. I'm not buying expensive hardware for this. And so looking at that reality and the fact that a lot of scenarios actually involve kind of a mix of needs here. You're going to have SDI equipment, you're going to have NDI, IP workflows, and the fact is we're all delivering these streaming codecs for all sorts of platforms, right? So we've added NDI here, which is fabulous, and it's supporting multi-channel HD, and it can support a channel of 4K up to 60p. And you can go from NDI to SDI and SDI to NDI, but you can also transcode between NDI and streaming codecs. So for folks that have already gotten into NDI to run signals around their buildings or their particular workflows, that's fabulous. But now you're going to actually be able to utilize the public internet too, and send files as H.265 files with SRT, which makes the whole thing secure. And then on a reception end, you can take that back to NDI if you want to, if you've got that infrastructure going, or take it back to SDI. It's almost a logarithmic change, right? And then to answer your question, HLS, that's to address a lot of the market that Apple has. A lot of their video transport utilizes HLS. And if you're not familiar with HLS as a viewer, that's basically HTTPS live streaming. And what it does for you is it automatically adjusts the picture quality based upon the device and the bandwidth that you have. And so a lot of facilities, and even on set, have used HLS because you can sort of share your video village, so to speak, using iPads and things, right, over a wireless connection. So we had HLS as an input in the previous versions, but with this version, it's now an output choice for you as well. And again, that could be coming from SDI sources, it could be coming from streaming codecs, and now NDI as well. So to describe this product as rich is an understatement.
So in addition to that, you have updated some of your other products. I know we don't have a lot of time, but can you just quickly go through those?
Sure. So it's been a day of partner announcements, and we're really thrilled. I worked at Autodesk at one point, and Flame was my game. We're thrilled to let you know that within the next 24 hours, Autodesk will be putting out a bunch of great news around those products if you're into Flame and Flare. And we're thrilled to be able to let folks know that they decided to settle on our TTAP Pro, the little output box that we came out with earlier this year that will be working with those products. And that's fabulous because it means you can work with Flame and Flare, et cetera, on an iMac, on a MacBook. And because you were dealing with the TTAP Pro, it's possible for you to actually output RGB at 12-bit, all the stuff you need for great video effects work. So that's thrilling. And then the other great news on the partner front here is the fact that we have been working with Microsoft Teams quietly for some time now, and you're going to be able to utilize your AJA I/O cards to basically output a broadcast video output from one of the members on any video conference. So let's say you for review on Teams, and you want to put it into a router and you want to get it into your full video infrastructure, you can simply choose one of the participants, right-click on them and say, send to broadcast video out. And it'll actually send it off to our cards. And then our cards, of course, are doing the frame rates that you need. Set the correct frame rate for your workflow, do it to the correct raster, and send it on. So that's pretty fabulous. And it's going to empower a lot of TV stations as well that have had to rely on these streaming sources for a lot of their interviews, and really make the whole thing look a heck of a lot better.